Actually, Sean just says, write a book, mate. 2 pre-sold copies right here. There you go. So you put things out there and then they generate. A couple of comments that come
He
through.
doesn't even know what the topic is, but he's already purchasing. I love it. There you go.
Support. Mark says, sometimes you can lead from behind. What do you think about that, Tony? I feel like I need to get a little bit more information around that before I comment, but any thoughts around that at all?
Well, lead from behind is encourage, support, pat people on the back, help just gently nudge them forward. So a lot of people will lead from the front and they'll say, hey, I'm up the front and I'm doing all these things and follow in behind me. And others, and if I'm interpreting the right, Mark, and let me know if I am or I aren't, but leading from behind will be around support, collaborate, be there for them, be a safety net if they fall, those types of things, as opposed to, hey, I'm doing this and now all fall in line and follow me.
Absolutely. Greg says, be patient and the answer will come. So that's a good idea, I guess, as well. Let's sit for it, go in the flow of what's going on, and then you may have that back in your subconscious and then it comes out when it needs to.
Oh, absolutely. And some of the decisions depend upon the size of them, but some of them take ages, right? They take ages, and sit with it and sit with it and sit with it. I was driving down here this morning and I'm still sort of mulling over a particular direction for my business for next year. And, and I've been sitting on this now for the last couple of months and I'm still, so I'm getting closer to it, but I'm just going through all different, permutations. Probably the lesson that I get out of that for me is that what I will do is I will pull the trigger on that early in the new year. So one way or another, we're going to do this thing because I want to test it out. So, but I noticed myself just driving down here because I'm not I don't listen to the radio. I do a lot of podcasting, but I wasn't this morning per se. But I was certainly just reflecting on some stuff, and that's important. We don't spend enough time with our own thoughts. I'm not the same as everyone. I accept that, but I love sitting with my own thoughts. I love getting with my own thoughts and seeing where it'll take me. And it's just so important because it's all around me becoming the best version of me.
Kamal's come on and said, morning to all. Mark has given the big thumbs up when it comes to leading from behind. And Christine's come on. Big happy birthday to Christine. It was her birthday yesterday. She says, hey, guys. Sean says, what Kelly and I love about finding out yourselves and people like Rob, Cheryl, and others is that when we get feedback, it's experience feedback in areas that we're working towards. So experts, Tony, I'm sure you've got something to say about that.
Oh, well, again, so that's the other thing around feedback, right? So there'll be people who give you feedback. Part of the processing is to, well, who is that person? So there'll be people at the Christmas party who'll give you feedback and they might say, don't get into property. They've never been in property. Perhaps they've seen on news that property's risky. You can lose money. It's a mug's game. And so they're now projecting what they saw on the 7 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news onto you versus, like Sean's saying, it's about qualifying the feedback. Is that person qualified to give you the feedback? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. And so that's part of the decision-making process whenever you get feedback, because by golly, you're going to get some opinions, particularly property, right? Property, Australians, we love talking about property. I mean, you love talking about it. You're just next level, right? But I'm saying, generally speaking, Australians love to talk about property, right? And so it's one of the, and everyone has an opinion, and there's opinions around hotspots, and there's opinion, on and on it goes. Well, are they really qualified? And that would be my biggest advice to people.
It helps, Tony, when I'm wearing this T-shirt every day as well. When it's got property on the T-shirt.
But you love it, right? Publicly, people
no,
see you love it.
I'm saying that other people come in for their opinions when I'm wearing
sure. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Right? So everyone has an opinion, and so it's about recognizing, well, are those people's opinions, do they matter? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe it's someone who you value in your life, and it's like, I really value that person's opinion. Maybe they've been a mentor for me. Maybe they've been an indirect mentor. Right? We have plenty of indirect mentors now through social media and YouTube and whatnot. Maybe I really value that opinion. Maybe I don't. Whatever that person says, I don't give a stuff what they say. Right? Maybe. Right? Again, this is all around accepting that it's coming. Right? Control what you can control. What you can't control is what people say to you. What you can control is what you do with the information you receive, right? And do you take it on board, And do you go, okay, interesting, I'm going to make some changes? Or alternatively, I'm just going to totally ignore that and thanks for your opinion, but I'm heading in this direction.
I want to talk about preparation in a moment, but before we get onto that, a few happy birthdays for Christine, which is great. Everyone's sharing the love. Mark says, when making new decisions around business, complexity is the enemy of execution. So just do one simple thing to start and get some momentum. We always talk about that, Tony.
One extra thing. Yeah, one extra thing. You talk about business. Like I think people who get so caught up in the things that aren't that important, but to them is important, and I have to respect that it's important. For example, business cards, logos, all these types of things, business names, right? All these sorts of things. And it's like, just get started. Just get started. I see so many people sitting on the sideline not taking action because they're, what should I call it? And it's like, just go. Right, so Mark's got it's great. It's like, just do one thing, you're going to figure it out. Do another thing, you're going to figure it out. You're never going to get it right first time. So just put all that aside. Adjust your expectations, because it just doesn't work that way. In fact, the first time you do stuff, we've talked about our videos, the first ever videos, and whether it be videos or whether it be the first phone call you make, a sales call, whatever it might be, it's going to suck. It's going to be dreadful. Just accept it and get on with it.
I want to get back to the preparation, but
sorry.
I know Ken has actually got some really good comments here. He let me know that he was doing this last night, but he said, "Hey Tony, I did the carpet thing last night. Only that I was sitting in the spa with my thoughts, no music, just calm and quiet, just reflecting on the year that's gone and where I'm heading in the next 12 months. Beautiful. What I did well, what I didn't, or what I can improve on. After my reflections, I listened to some nice, smooth, gentle songs." Love to hear the results of that as well, Ken. I guess whether you want to put them out to the public or you want to just DM Tony and I around that as well. So totally up to you. What do you think?
I love it. My thoughts are that I'm as proud as Punch. Firstly, that's my first thoughts. I'm so proud.
Emotional?
Yeah, well, because we come on here every Sunday and we give of ourselves and we give so much advice. And again, no different to what we're talking about with feedback. You can take our advice. You can say, you know what, that's a whole lot of shit, that Luke and Tony, and I come on here for the entertainment value, whatever it might be. But I'm so delighted when someone takes the advice and does something about it, because something, and I've talked about this a lot, something so simple as that exercise, I have truly seen it move people just phenomenally. And so I give of that information because I've seen the power and the shift in others. And I want you guys who tune in on a Sunday to have that. And I'm so delighted. And Ken, I'd love to know, just top line, like, what was your experience? You don't have to go through the specifics. I mean, obviously, share what you're prepared to share publicly. But I'd love to know top line just what your thoughts were about the whole process, because I just talked to you guys about the fact that I drove down 30 minutes and sat with my thoughts for 30 minutes because I love it. I love sitting with my thoughts. And I love what direction could things go in, and just bouncing things around. It's so important. Most of us don't do it. Most of us just.
I feel like, Tony, that we're almost sitting with our thoughts through this conversation, right? Like, I brought up about the whole thing about writing a book and so forth, sitting with those thoughts when the interaction does happen. So,
sure, yeah,
which is a really good thing. Let's get into the preparation side. That's our third point. How do we prepare for these questions and moments when it comes to the opinions and judgments of family and friends? And is it a good challenge for us?
Well, I think it's a great challenge. Again, it comes from the intent of, I talked before, I want the feedback, constantly craving the feedback. Give me the feedback. I want it. For others who aren't used to getting the feedback, it is a challenge. If you're not used to doing something, anytime you try something different, it's a challenge. It's going to be difficult and awkward. But that's what I'm saying. Maybe there's ways around it. Maybe you don't have to do it in a public forum, right? You might be afraid to respond in a public forum because then you give the chance for everyone in the cheap seats to chime in. You might want to do it in a more private setting. Hey, thanks for that comment, on Christmas Day. Just want to explore that a little further. What do you mean by that? You know what I mean? So that's absolutely. So from a planning point of view, maybe, planning wise, you could say to yourself, am I going to react or am I going to respond this year? Is my normal, modus operandi, is it to react and carry on and be defensive? Or am I going to take a different view this year and say, okay, wonder why they'd say that? Wonder where they're coming from when they say that. I might just sit with that for a bit.
Yeah, I think silence is powerful for people.
Yes, it is.
If
Yeah.
you sit with that, it's important. Sean says, hey guys, on late. I'll have to watch the replay. Merry Christmas from Sean Hayes. Come on, doing some extraordinary things. We met up over the last couple of days and with some reflecting on the year that was. And I think they're going to have an absolutely outstanding next year, 2021. They've got a lot of projects in the pipeline. So congratulations to both those guys. Rising to the challenge and I guess building up together, which is really good to see. Tony Gallagher says, yes, agree, Luke. I'm sitting and thinking today about next year and how we get started again. Tony, we will be looking at those sort of ideas and thoughts and on next week's Sunday Mindset session. So getting that preparation for 2021 and hopefully people can start to reflect on that. Then we come into next week and then we'll deliver even more ideas around that so that they can work with what's going on this week with themselves and then work towards, next week when we might be able to then slightly change some of those ideas and some of those thoughts or get you to maybe a higher level on the back of some of our experiences or some of our knowledge and skills in this space.
What I'd love, I agree, Luke, what I'd love is to do a post-Christmas review. How do we go? How do we go? So post-Christmas, how did you deal with the opinions of others? Did you get some opinions from others? How did you deal with it? What did you do different? This is why we talk about it now. It's no surprise that we talk about these things with stuff that's going on around us because we want you to start to think about, well, how am I going to deal with the opinions of others, whether it be mum or dad or brother or sister or auntie or uncle or, niece, nephew, whatever it might be. Would love to get a bit of an update as to how you got on, what you learned, what you do different. I think that's the important thing. It's one thing for us to sit here and talk about stuff, week in, week out, but are you putting it into practice? That's the bit that I'd really love to know about. And, we talk about Ken a lot. We talked about him a lot today, and I know we've talked about him a lot over recent weeks, but he's putting stuff into practice. He's telling us that he's sitting in baths, hot tubs and just sitting with his thoughts. I love it. I think it's wonderful that he's taking the things that we're talking about. So I'd encourage each and every one of you to do the same. So leading into your Christmas function, how are you going to react? Are you going to do what you normally do and get the default, get defensive, aggressive maybe? Or Tony, are you going to respond?
We get to a point where we prepare for meetings, right? Why are we preparing for these social gatherings with friends and family to think about what kind of things? And sometimes I get into that space when maybe I'm driving to a location, what's actually happened to me, to them in the past? Can I reflect on, some things that they've done really well of? I've actually seen on maybe social media that I haven't caught up with them for a while to say, bring up topics, talk about other people, let them explore what they've been doing as well. So they can, talk about themselves. Everyone loves to talk about themselves.
Oh, it's the favorite topic. We've talked a lot about the receiving of the opinions of others, but what about the giving of? The giving of our opinions to others. How are we going to do that this year? Are we going to do that in a respectful way, in a diplomatic way? Consider how others might be thinking, feeling, etc. So, it's also around the giving of our opinions. Are we judging? That's a good one. Are we judging? Are we falling below the line? We talked about the line of choice. It's a behavioural theory, right? And that is NLP, David, if you're still watching. But it's about the judgment side, which is below the line, and the opposite of judgment is acceptance. So when someone says something, what is your default? Is your default to go and judge? Maybe it is. And so this year could be an opportunity for you to do something different. Stop, take a breather and go, you know what? I'm going to show some acceptance. I'm going to have a bit more empathy for that person.
So
why are they going?
Ken's put his thoughts about the carpet in the spa, So work hard, keep educating myself, invest, slowly pay down mortgage, more community ventures, donate services, not necessarily in that order, be flexible.
Okay. And that's great. And that's wonderful, by the way. So thank you, Ken, for sharing. I was more thinking about the experience itself generally. So what was the experience for you as in doing that exercise. How did you find that exercise? Was it helpful? Would you encourage others to do it? Would you do it different, etc.? I'm seeking feedback. Look at me go, right? So I'm seeking feedback here, really keen to understand how it all went. So if you could share. But yeah, so it's about, the giving of advice as well, and how we're doing that. And are we doing that in a kind way? And again, is it, are we coming from a place of acceptance and empathy, or are we being judgmental? And so that's the question that we all need to ask ourselves. And then as beverages are mixed in,
it seems like a little bit of a goal setting sort of session that can create it around that experience. I'm sure you'd plug a few holes. You'd be looking to plug a few holes in that one, Tony. That's for sure. When I'm looking at points right now.
Oh no. I'm just delighted that he did it, to be honest. I'm delighted that that the thoughts bubbled up. And so then there's obviously a series of things that you do beyond that. But the thought, everything starts with a thought, right? So you think about this phone that I'm looking into, it started as a thought. Someone had the thought. Maybe it was Steve Jobs, whatever, right? Someone had a thought around this phone. Then that thought turned into a design. They made it, they sold it, etc. Everything starts as a thought. And so the fact that Ken's hopped in the spa and had some great thoughts, hey, that's wonderful. And now what are you going to do with those thoughts, right? So that's the next step in the process. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to pad these out, put a bit more rigor around those goals, create my goal action plan that we talked about at the start of today. But the fact that you've started the thought process, it's wonderful. I think it's so wonderful.
And I agree with that exactly. I guess I was mentioning to plug a few holes in those little gaps, right? You always talk about the gap, Tony.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's what it's all about. Maybe we're looking at things with good intention, but there's holes in our thought process, in how we do things. And this is where someone else can potentially plug those holes for you. Ken does say at 63, I sort of feel like 43, which is amazing. Kamal says, agreed, procrastination is the problem for most. Mark Bishop says, we all have three opponents, external or outsiders, so outsiders, friends and family, and most importantly, internal. Yeah,
internal. That is the biggest enemy, is the internal, quite frankly. So it's this whole thing on this earth. It's an inner game. It's an inner game. It's inside your head, and so that's the opportunity for all of us, is to win the inner game.
It's the reaction response, like you said, Tony.
Of course it is. It's and it's the above the line, below the line. It's what am I going to do in that situation? What is my default? You see, here's the thing: we operate on autopilot most of the day. Look, people aren't aware of that, but it's like you're operating on autopilot. What I mean by that is that the way in which you're reacting to things, it's because you've always done it. It's because your neurology is all hardwired that when this something happens, when this event happens, my trigger is X, and I've done that all my life, or I've done that for the last 5 years, right? And so it's about how do I start to change that, and I change that through conscious awareness. And we talk about elevating conscious awareness by those two magical questions around, what have I done well, and what can I do differently, and that's it. And then this is the external version of conscious awareness, because that is when you're asking something similar to others, or you're receiving feedback from others. You go, okay, wow, I hadn't thought of it in that way, because I'm doing awareness of myself, but I'm thinking at it through one lens, and someone else is coming at it from a lens that I hadn't considered, and I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely. Tanya and Trent have also come on. I believe Trent might be a first-time viewer online, or actually live with us, but
Right.
Sorry?
How do you remember that, mate? You do. I mean, you do so many lives, right? So I find it fascinating. You've said that a few times, and I've sort of got off and I thought, gosh, how does that guy remember it? Like, that's amazing.
Sometimes I've got it wrong, so don't worry about that.
So it's you're just a statement, right? You're just throwing something out there, and I think it's wonderful. If that's true, the fact that you can remember all those people, good on you. Who's new.
We only get two viewers a week, right? So
I got it now. Okay, my apologies.
Ken says, all right, it was a very good experience. He says, maybe I think Tony was after maybe the idea or how it felt through the experience. anything that popped up for you that may have not popped up for you in the past. So that's not a bad idea. He also says, I am not good at Instagram, so I arranged while sitting in the spa to seek tuition from my mate that does that marketing on a regular basis. Mid-January, this will happen. Part of my education is already underway. Very good. Sean says,
I love it.
Kelly's like that. She remembers all sorts of information like that. Yeah, I'm a little bit random. Thank you, Sean. It's pretty funny as well. Ken also says, not sure about the body. Feels 43 though. So hopefully his body's holding up like his mind is holding up.
Well, I actually was in the garden yesterday, and I don't do gardening. Don't do gardening very well. So I was in the garden. Oh, I'm incredibly sore today. Incredibly sore. So I discovered a few new muscles that I didn't realise existed. So yeah, but
that's
it's about
because of age, Tony. That's just because you have been using them. That's all.
No, I understand that. I understand it's called a lack of conditioning. And but can I say it's also something that I don't want to get conditioned in. So I just happened to. I just happened to garden yesterday, so yeah. So we're getting a new puppy in our house. So on the 27th, in fact, that's next Sunday. Is it next Sunday?
Yeah, it's next Sunday.
Right, we're getting okay. I'll have to figure that out. All right, we're getting a new puppy on the 27th. So we're all very excited in the Meredith household.
Fantastic. We've got Mark Bishop that says, getting with the family at Christmas lunches, etc. I take my sense of humor. I don't always give advice, just encouragement, love, and making them feel great with emotions.
Perfect. Wonderful. But I think that's a nice note to finish on. That's a lovely note. So thank you. You got some final remarks?
No, we've been talking about the opinions of family and friends during Christmas time. So thinking about for us, how do we cope with those opinions? Is it good to have the attention? And also, are you actually preparing for the questions and moments that you might experience? And is it a good challenge for you? So guys, hopefully it makes you think a little bit differently during this Christmas period. And so that we're not having the bust ups, and, we can have some intelligent conversations around what's going on to help each other through, some tough times that have happened during 2020 as well. So if we can just lift it up, the positivity around it, get everyone helping each other, then it might be just so much better for all of us.
Absolutely. Can I just finish? So true, Luke. I just want to finish and say to everyone, thank you. Merry Christmas. I want to wish everyone who tunes in here on a Sunday, Merry Christmas. It means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to Luke as well. We do this because we want to give, and I want to wish each and every one of you a very safe and happy Christmas. Have a wonderful time with your family. Hopefully you can adopt some of the things we talked about today, and we look forward to hearing how your Christmas day went. But Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and lots of thanks coming through now. So have a great day, everyone, and we'll be back. Merry Christmas, and see you back on the 27th. Bye for now.
Bye.